Hey, what's going on everybody? Snowy back with another Rainbow Six extraction video, and today we're going to be going over the best guns to use for each operator in the game. Before we get into the video, I just want to say welcome to all the new viewers. Please consider liking and subbing for tons of awesome extraction content coming in the future. We cover everything here on the channel from news to gameplay and guides, and you definitely don't want to miss out on it. We're also growing a community over on Discord and would love to have you check it out, so I'll leave a link in the description, but let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So to start this video off, I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way and say that no matter which gun is best, you should still use the gun that you find to be the most fun. For me, I find a lot of guns in the game to be more fun than their counterparts, and they might be suboptimal. However, every gun in my opinion is usable and can be viable even in in-game. So another thing to get out of the way is definitely make sure you're not using suppressors on any of your primary weapons and run suppressors on all of your secondary weapons only. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first up we have Doc. For his primary weapon, I'm going to recommend the HK417. This is definitely his best weapon, and what we are running is the reflex sight, muzzle brake, and vertical grip. For his secondary weapon, I'm going to recommend the P9 with a suppressor. Then we have Ella. I'm definitely going to recommend her LMG-E, and for this loadout we are running holographic, compensator, and vertical grip. And for her secondary, she only has one option, so this is what you're going to run, and you're going to run it with a suppressor. Next up we have Pulse. He has the 5.56 assault rifle, and I think this is easily his best weapon. It's still not fantastic, but overall definitely still his best choice. I'm running the holographic sight, compensator, and vertical grip. And then for his secondary, we are running the 5.7 USG with a suppressor. Next up we have Alibi. I think she has two viable primary weapons, the ACS-12 and the ALDA 5.56. And for the ALDA, we run reflex and vertical grip. And for the ALDA, we run holographic and compensator. So this is a 30 round full auto drum magazine shotgun, and it's super good for taking down tormentors, and the ALDA is an LMG. There's not really more that needs to be said about that. That tends to be the class of gun that is top performing in this game. And then for her secondary, she has no good secondaries, but we're still going to be using the Kratos with a suppressor. Next up we have Finka. Her best weapon is easily the 6P41 LMG, and you can use the Spear 308 if you want, but I still think the LMG outperforms it. For this loadout, I do recommend the 1.5 times sight, no barrel, and a vertical grip. And for her secondary, I'm going to recommend the GSH-18 with a suppressor. Next up we have Hibana. She really has no good weapons. However, I'm going to recommend the Type 89. On this loadout, we're running holographic sight, compensator, and vertical grip. And for her secondary, I recommend the P229 with a suppressor. Next up, we have Lion. His best weapon is easily the HK417, once again, same as Doc. We're running reflex, muzzle brake, and vertical grip. And for his secondary, I recommend the P9 with a suppressor. Next up we have Sledge. He doesn't have the best primary weapon option choices. However, I'm going to recommend the L85A2 with a reflex sight, compensator, and vertical grip. And for his secondary, I'm going to recommend the P226 with a suppressor. Next up we have Vigil, one of the top performing operators in the game, and for him I'm going to recommend only one gun, the MK14 EBR, and I'm going to recommend reflex, muzzle brake, and angled grip. And for his secondary, Definitely use the C75 auto and not the SMG-12, as it cannot be suppressed, and you always want to have a suppressor on your secondary weapon, so that's what we're running on this pistol. C75 with a suppressor. Next up we have IQ. Her best weapon in my opinion is the AUG 2. You can also use the Commando if that's what you wish, but on the AUG 2 for our loadout we're running Reflex Sight and Compensator. And for her secondary, I recommend the P12 with suppressor. For Jager, next up we have the Commando. I believe this is easily one of his best weapons. However, you can also use the M870 shotgun. This is super good for ammo economy in in-game modes such as Maelstrom, but I do overall still recommend the Commando. And for this loadout, we run Reflex, Compensator, and Vertical Grip. Next up we have Rook. Rook's best weapon is the HK417, same as Doc and Lion. Same loadout as well, Reflex, Muzzle Brake, Vertical Grip. And I'm going to recommend the P9 with a suppressor. Next up we have Fuze. He has the 6P41 LMG, same as Finka, and same loadout as well. Scope 1.5 times and Vertical Grip. This is definitely his best weapon. And for secondary, I'm going to recommend the GSH-18 with a suppressor. Next up we have Smoke. His best weapon, in my opinion, is the FMG-9. And for this loadout, we're running Reflex and Muzzle Brake. If he had a Compensator, that would be the better option. However, he doesn't. And for the secondary, I'm going to recommend the P226 with a suppressor. Next up we have Tachanka. His weapon choices are pretty poor, however the AK-12 is the best despite it having bad recoil. It's still better than the other weapons and has a higher damage output. I'm going to recommend the Reflex Sight, Compensator, and Vertical Grip. And for the secondary, I'm going to recommend the GSH-18 with a suppressor. Next up we have Capitao. His best weapon is definitely the M249 in my opinion, and we run Holographic Sight, Compensator, and Vertical Grip. Overall, these aren't the best weapon choices either, however that is his best weapon. And for the secondary, he only has one, but we're running a suppressor on it. Next up we have Gridlock. The M249 Saw is definitely her best weapon, and it's actually pretty overpowered. On this weapon we're running Reflex, Compensator, and Vertical Grip. This is 100% the weapon you want to be using on her. And for the sidearm, we are running the SDP 9mm with the suppressor. And last but certainly not least, we have Nomad. You're going to want to be using the AK-74M and with holographic and compensator. And for her secondary, I know the semi-auto might seem cool, but you definitely want to run the PRB-92 with a suppressor. That's her best loadout. So that's just a quick look at all the guns for you. These are definitely the best weapons in the game. If anything changes, I'll make sure to let you know, but stay tuned to the channel and make sure you drop a like, comment, and sub. And I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Snowy out.